Hey, so now I understand why people do those videos with the piece of papers that say like those words that they want to say, because I've been sitting here trying to figure out if I'm going to do this or not, because it's not something easy, but it's been on my heart for a long time now that I have to share my story, because you have to share your story. Because you never know who needs to hear your story. And so, as I see everybody's posts today and all the media going on, I knew today was the day that I had to share my story. And so, I've, as you can tell by the status of this and the hashtags of the video, when I was 19, I got pregnant by a guy who I was only dating for a few months, and was kind of I'm not gonna say that. I had an abortion. It wasn't my first choice. I had went to the doctors, and at the time I lived in a small town where everybody kind of knew everything, and I worked in a hospital, the only hospital in the town. And so I had gone to my first doctor's appointment and, seen the heart, heard the heartbeat, seen a picture. I have a picture printed out, and was going to have this baby. And then when I told the father of the baby, he played me really good. And I fell for it. I, fell for all his lies. And he talked me into having an abortion. And at that time, you kind of numb yourself out to the whole world. You act like it never happened. You do it, and then you throw it under the rug, and then you never speak of it again. It's not something you go to your friends and your family and say, hey, guess what? I was pregnant, but I'm not anymore. And so the nurses and, people in the hospital knew I was pregnant. And so when I came back after my abortion, I told them that I had a miscarriage and that's why I was out, And then you start lying about that for so long, you start to believe like, oh, maybe I did have a miscarriage. And then you realize, nope, you had an abortion. And then the days go by, the months go by, the years go by, and you hate yourself. And then you love yourself, and then you hate yourself. You have a love-hate for years. And you don't know what to do sometimes. There was times where I looked down at my stomach and I would just start hitting it. Just start hitting it repeatedly. And then there was times where you just think that you're alone, and then you hate your ex and for what he made you do, and then you hate yourself because you realize you chose to do it, and then you just forget about it until something else happens in life that brings it back up, and then you hate yourself again. And so it's a vicious cycle that goes round and round and round, and thankful enough, and I am blessed to have the faith that I have and be around the people that I'm around, and by God's grace, by the grace of God, I was able to start the healing process and forgiveness of myself and forgiveness from others. And some people are like, well, what do you mean? You don't need anybody else's forgiveness but yours and God's. But when you make choices in life, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting other people. And so the main people that I wanted to ask forgiveness from was my parents. And for one reason, I took away the chance of them being grandparents and loving my child. I took that away from them. And I took away the chance for my siblings to be an aunt and uncle to my baby. I took away the chance for my baby to have life and become something. And I did that. I can't blame somebody else for the choice that I went through with. But at that time, you're just so numb. And you're alone. And you feel like you're alone. And that's why I'm speaking out. I'm not quiet anymore. I've been quiet for so long. And I know a lot of women are out there being quiet. But now is the time to share your story. Now is the time to share your story so that your baby's life has a meaning. So I prayed about it, and I know my baby is a girl, and her name is Evangeline. And I know when I get to heaven that she will know that I loved her and that I'm so sorry and ask for her forgiveness. And I'm grateful that I have been able to get to that point in my life. But it wasn't easy. And it's not easy for all the women out there that have gone through it. And I've met a few women who have been through abortions, through Rachel's Vineyard retreats, through Project Rachel. I'm so grateful for that organization that provides those opportunities for women to start healing after abortion. And when I'm talking about women healing, I mean like 80-year-olds all the way down to 19-year-olds. It was eye-opening to me and very humbling to me and super blessed to know that I need to speak up now, because I don't want more girls to wait like the 80-year-old lady who held on to all that guilt and hurt for those many years and who hasn't talked about it. Her son doesn't know. Nobody knows. She's held it all by herself for this many years. And it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to go to each other and comfort each other and be there for each other without judgment and without, how do you say that? Without judgment. And knowing that somebody's there to tell you that God's grace will forgive you. And that you have a life and that your life is worth something. Because once you go through that, you lose a part of you. And you just have no respect for yourself. And you hate yourself. And you can never forgive yourself. But you can. And you should. And you are loved. And for all the girls out there who have been through it, it's okay to talk about it. No judgment here. And for those who have somebody you think may have gone through it, who you think may be thinking about it, reach out. Speak up. Put your hand out. Make the move. Because sometimes those women just need a hug. They need to know that they're still loved. And that life after it, there's forgiveness. And that you can move on from it. And you can make a difference in life still. In your own life. And for the girls who are thinking about having sex or, not even not using protection, just don't do it. It's one of those things where it's just like, oh, I'm on the pill. He's using condom. There's no safe sex except no sex. And I used to always say that, how can I talk about this, God? How do you want me to go share my story when people are just going to say you're a hypocrite? Like, you did it. So how can you tell other people not to do it? I made mistakes. I know I did. I am taking full responsibility. I was not perfect. I made plenty of mistakes. But there's no reason that somebody else should go through the same mistakes and go through the same pain. And there's no reason that we should be killing almost 1 million babies a year. 1 million babies a year. That number is crazy to even think about that many babies in the United States being killed in a year. And the majority of them are from women in their 20s. We're not babies in our 20s. You are worthy of it. We need to start telling women who get pregnant, instead of telling them it's hard, just have an abortion. Just take care of it. It's not a baby anyways. It's not even born. It has a heartbeat. It's human. It's a baby. We should be telling women, it's okay. You're strong. You can do this. We're here for you. We're going to help you. I'll hold your hand. You know, regardless of whatever the situation is, if you're the father of the baby, just because the baby's not in you, tell her that she can do it. Tell her that you're there to support her. Don't tell her that you'll support her decision. Tell her you'll support her and the baby. Let her hear those words from you. If you're a family member, you're a mom, a dad, sister, brother, and you know that your sibling, your sister, your brother has gone through, your daughter, your son has gone through an abortion, reach out. Put your hand out, put your arms out and hug them. And tell them that you know. Because the sooner you guys can help each other heal, the better and sooner you can start living a happy life. There's no better way to live than happy. And when we start helping and supporting and reaching out to those who have hurt and gone through abortions, and let them know that you love them and that you forgive them, then they can start healing. And then they know they have support in healing. And I say this because I was there. I've been there. And I don't blame anybody. I have great parents. I have great family. Do I wish they would have reached out a little bit sooner? Maybe. But it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. But I'm speaking up because as a woman who has been there, as a child who has been there, as a sister, as a daughter, our family is the most important thing. So open your arms, hug your sister, hug your daughter, hug your son, because it's not just the women who go through these abortions, the men do too. And I met the men at the retreats, and they hurt and they mourn just like we do, but in a different way, if that makes sense. Their hurt and their healing process is a little different than the women, but they need to know that you forgive them too, and that you love them, and that they're strong men, and that they can be good fathers, and that they can do it. So the official march is Saturday in Washington. So if you went out for the Women's March, go back out again next Saturday and march for life. March for the babies who are still not here, that they can have a chance at life. That we're not murdering and killing any more babies. Make a difference. Yes, I should technically be held accountable to some extent for murder, because that is what I did, and I accept responsibility for it, and I speak out because that's exactly what happened. And I can say that because I've been there. I've heard the heartbeat. I've seen the baby. I felt what they did to me in that abortion room. You know, they don't tell you when you go into those clinics the hurt that's going to happen the next month or the month after or the year after. They don't tell you, the depression you're going to hit. They tell you, don't worry, you won't feel a thing. It's simple, it's easy. But in all honesty, they don't know. They're just there to collect a paycheck and do their job. They don't care. They can care less about what happens to you after. They can care less what happens to you in the procedure room. My horrible procedure went wrong. No, it didn't go wrong, but if you don't know what an abortion entails and you have a surgical abortion, you have to dilate a certain amount for them to insert the tools for them to dismember your baby. And if you don't, then they stick pieces of wooden sticks to help you dilate and send you home for the night to come back the next day and go through the whole ordeal again. So to say I was traumatized by the whole thing is an understatement. Imagine knowing what was going on and seeing what was going on, but not being able to do anything. And so, yeah, it's traumatizing. It's not a simple procedure you just go in and out. Because you remember sitting there, you remember going in pregnant and coming out not. Your baby's gone. And there's nothing you can do about it anymore. It's over and done with. So yeah, the trauma's there, the hate is there, the anger's there. But there's healing and forgiveness on the other side. And so if you have been through an abortion, just know that you can forgive yourself and that you can heal from this and you can make a positive out of something that was negative. And you can speak up and you can go march for life and you can speak up for those other babies and give them a chance. End abortion. End the opportunity. End that should not even be available for anything. Every child is worth something. I work at a place that we have a guy that has Down syndrome and he's the most amazing kid ever. And I love seeing him when he comes in, when I get into work and he's there. Because he has the best conversations. He's so vibrant and loves talking about football. So that shouldn't be a choice for medical decisions either, because they can be productive. They can have lives too. They can bring joy to lives. So stand up, be a voice, silent no more, and let's help end abortion. And this is why the march next week, Saturday, in Washington is important to me. And I'm really saddened that there was marches for life today that the media didn't cover. Because it just shows how our media doesn't care about unborn children. And somebody needs to speak up, and I'm speaking up. Because as a young girl who went through it, you don't have to be alone. You are not alone. You can do this. And if you don't think that you can do this, even though I'm telling you you can be a mom, you were born to be a mom, God blessed you to be a mom, there are women and families that will help you to raise that baby and give it a chance at life and to be successful and do something amazing in this world. And so that's my abortion story. That is my healing story. And healing continues. And it's a struggle that we face every day. And by the grace of God, I am so thankful and blessed to have a loving family that supports me and is there for me, and friends, and that I'm able to share my story with others in hopes to spread hope and light and love and healing to everybody. So have a good night. Thanks for listening. And again, let's pray for all those going out to Washington next week for the March of Life, and speak up for the unborn. Love you guys. Bye.